Welcome to the We Report channel. In today's episode, a new video on politics. No censorship, just the essence. Watch and draw your own conclusions.
In the evening, we would like to ask you to comment on Trump's statement on Ukraine yesterday. Are we ready, after what was said yesterday in Washington, to continue dialogue with the United States on normalizing bilateral relations and on resolving the Ukrainian conflict? And if you allow me, one more question in addition. How do we assess the threat of introducing 100% duties on our trading partners? From the point of view of Russia's foreign economic interests? Maybe you succeeded in this?
The same question, because the statement was just easy to discuss. With other parties, we, in general, never build our line to the detriment of national interests, to the detriment of ensuring the country's security. Special military operations are aimed precisely at this. Eliminate at the root, in the bud, those threats that the North Atlantic Alliance has been creating not for one day, not for 1 year, but for 10 years, right on our borders. And Russia has warned many times. President Bush has dedicated countless speeches and statements to this problem, and unfortunately, he has not been heard. But apparently, this only confirms that what President Putin recently said in an interview, although foreign, on how his and our general perception of relations with the West evolved, when at first it seemed that if we could remove ideological differences, everything would be fine. And then it turned out that it was not a matter of ideology, that the West, regardless of what ideology was practiced in the Russian Empire, in the Soviet Union, in post-Soviet Russia, was never driven by anything other than geopolitical containment, suppression, and even direct military destruction of Russia, as has happened more than once in history. Therefore, of course, as Dmitry Peskov said, we want to understand what is behind this statement. 50 days. It was before, and there was 2400, and there were 100 days. We've all been through this, and we really want to understand what drives the President of the United States. It is clear that he is under enormous, I would say indecent, pressure from the European Union and the current NATO leadership, which unceremoniously supports Zelensky's demands to continue pumping him with modern weapons, including offensive ones, at the expense of ever greater damage to taxpayers in Western countries. That's why we have one proverb, a hero gives another a hole. The fact that the sanctions that the European Union has now imposed and that are being prepared again in Brussels and the United States are trying to drag us into this sanctions funnel. But President Trump very specifically explained that Europe will pay for all of this. All this, of course, has already caused very serious damage to the European economy. Sound and objective European analysts, economists, and political scientists acknowledge that the damage is primarily borne by the author of this sanctions war. We still have an unprecedented number of sanctions declared against us, and we are coping with them. I have no doubt that we can handle it. This conclusion is also based on an assessment on the analysis of independent, including many Western economists and politicians. So, as far as, our trading partners, they hear what was said, but they can hardly predict their actions now. They have obligations, international obligations, and knowing these partners of ours, I do not see how they can abandon their independent policy, their policy of compliance with the agreement, and we achieve them both through bilateral channels and in multilateral formats.
Я не вижу, как они могут отказаться от своей независимой политики, от политики соблюдения договоренностей, достигаемых и по двусторонним каналам, и в многосторонних форматах.
So, what was Lavrov really saying at the SCO Summit in Tianjin? This wasn't just routine diplomacy. It was a clear signal. The global order is shifting, and Russia wants a front-row seat in shaping what comes next. Lavrov positioned the SCO not as a symbolic alliance, but as a rising force, a platform for countries that feel sidelined or pressured by the Western-led system. The message was direct. We're not isolated. We're part of a new majority. The core values he emphasized, mutual respect, non-interference, cultural diversity, stand in sharp contrast to what Moscow views as Western hegemony, sanctions, and regime change tactics. In this narrative, the SCO isn't just a counterweight. It's the blueprint for a multipolar world where no single country dominates. One key focus was Afghanistan, not by accident. By pledging regional support, Russia is showing it wants the SCO to be a serious player in stabilizing post-conflict zones, not just a talk shop. And Putin's upcoming visit to China for the 80th anniversary of the end of World War II? It's symbolic, a way of fusing historical memory with modern strategy. It tells a story. Russia and China aren't just partners. They're aligning narratives, values, and long-term goals. Bottom line, Lavrov wasn't just reporting on a meeting. He was drawing a geopolitical map. And on that map, the West is no longer the center.